As we were discussing in our previous shorts, there are those who will choose stories over data, and that is because they find healthy self-worth agency, basically securely attached people, they find us boring. No, they find their own bodies and see, no, here's where, if we want to go determined route, Robert Sapolsky's book, nobody has free will. So then I'm going to say the not securely attached human beings are going to stay that, and then the ones with attachment wounds, father, mother attachment wounds, won't learn to love themselves first or be themselves. They, in fact, think superhero stories and supervillain stories are climactic, interesting, and the only way people can learn. They don't understand. No, they don't want to. The 3D, 4D collective, they're going to keep on having their lovely Wendy's. I call them Wendy's. Go watch our shorts, and if you want, if you don't, it's okay. We're going to keep chit-chatting about the ones of us who don't find secure attachment boring because we have a good gut. So we did not get gaslit, and or we basically will have learned how to become healthy self-worth agents of ourselves. Okay, so that means you don't project childhood trauma. You don't have this. You're not hiding any of it. You know, EMDR, child parts work, and somatics. So I, at IHP, inspire higher human consciousness potential experiences because I share with you my life story. Don't you know it's all about me? It's really not, but it is, but it isn't. But I'm the pseudoscience woo lady because I take science, spirituality, and all of it seriously. And people think it's confusing, or that science and spirituality are confusing, but they're not. They're not for integrated brains. And when you when you meet smart people, they know that too. Thanks, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So sciences will be friends with spiritual people will be friends with sciences people, and data people will continue to expand each other. And at IHP, we do that. And no comedian will ever actually make a joke that everybody will be happy about, but we're all the ones who will say, yeah, we're fine with comedians. We don't take things personally because we have self-agency and we're empowered, enlightening, functional child adults. So we don't need a hand. We don't have still father or mother wounds. We don't need Patrick Tiahan. And so as long as somebody has attachment wounds and charges that involve, they will be standing together with bystanders and spears, and they like stories for themselves, which is why they make up the twin flame journey. No, the twin flame exists. The journey thing and that there's 4 waves, that's a whole different story, but so is a lot more. So with that, again, I'm a 5D mystic mentor, content creator, podcast host in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, and I'm a functional inner child adult, so I'm not an adaptive child part. And I'm not looking for bystanders to take my side because I don't have a side. I'm called Maria and you're called whatever your name is. And I will use new stories so that you can overflow with humanity. That means understand that Cuscos, where are the Cuscos? They're not here. We're all Pachas. And so when we say, I love you, we mean it, which is why my teenage boyfriend, we are still friends. And I'm friends with the partner. And people who didn't support us way back then still don't support. No, they still find it weird that love is unconditional. I don't, because I know God is discerning equanimous love. And I know also lovely, smart human beings. And I'm a securely attached, healthy, self-worth person who also knows no loss at all, or abandonment, or rejection, or any of that. I have no attachment wounds. So to me, society as a whole, who uses medieval times and low frequency because they have low self-esteem, so they're jealous. Yes, polyamory and monoamory coexist with compersion. As healthy self-worth people are not boring. People who make up excuses for their maladaptive patterns, drinking, drugging, fucking, inner, outer critics, superheroes, supervillains, again, this is where they're interested in staying in their low frequency. I am not here as a low frequency being because I have my higher self on, and anyone who doesn't know how to do it doesn't like mindfulness practices because they don't like mindsight skills, because they can't sift through their sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts with their prefrontal cortex. They want a story so that they don't have to go through anger, fear, sadness, the tears. Certain fears for certainty, sadness is about bonding, and anger is about self-agency. So they don't have those 3 with their ventral energy on. I do. The disgust, surprise, and happiness. I'm one energy, which is why people think one emotion, only happy. No, but it's fulfillment, and it is basically as happiness. So you don't have to do it, though. You can stay in your calculated left brain alone and continue doing structural dissociation or cognitive dissonance. None of my business. In calculation, there is stress and struggle of the mind. In giving, there is joy. Thank you, Sadhguru. You can only give when you are living a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel, for that definition of spirituality that he got from a spirituality conference where he, as a science man, was invited. When 97% of what is out there is unavailable to be observed, do you understand why scientists chase each other down the hallways? But you understand what the difference is between data, because it accumulates and repeats itself, versus a story. What I can tell you that I've witnessed as a mystic mentor, content creator, podcast host, online marketer, entrepreneur, self-help, personal development, spiritual growth, since 2007 and growing, is that it's to a T, spot on. Patrick Jahan, I tell them about you. They want Boca Raton and dating their toxic people. Terrio, I tell them about you and that they could become fierce lovers. They don't want you. No, they'd rather go and hang out with the Flintstones. We're the Flintstones. Yabba dabba dabba doo. And ask each other punishing questions and be all dramatic like Mean Girls and Hangover and idiotic movies. And then they waste time doing nothing. They like to do a lot of, I don't know, visceral. Some play their video games all day long. Sometimes they get all together. And there are different soul age groups, so please bear with me. I'm in the Enlightenment soul age group, and I have a ventral energy. It's not about the games. There are people who play the games and are in ventral energy. There are those who stay in their maladaptive ruminating and in their maladaptive actually daydreaming. Thank you, Dr. Nana Fox. So they will stay in numbing themselves and continuing bad habits of stress relief. So that's the part. They will follow a story of superheroes and supervillains, of likes and dislikes, and follow assholes in suits like that man in a suit who gave us a short in a minute of why a man will not text me back after fucking me, which will be he will have contempt and disgust towards me. And sometimes I forget data. Please remember I can fuck up words, but this is where I don't remember in that other short. But anyways, contempt, disgust towards me right after pulling out, and then shame. I don't know where the shame goes. In the meantime, the woman has wedding bells, and then she keeps changing shit up. And I'm just thinking that's what adaptive child part people do, because they're half a brain. So see, when you're not securely attached and you have attachment wounds and you're insecure, you change shit up because you don't do integrity. You can't. You're not integral with yourself because you have not integrated core, narrative, relational, and solo self. Your 0-1-year-old is not yours, so you're still in attached panic. Your 3 to 7 is shame submissive. You're probably looking for that father and mother with that wound that you haven't psychologically developed to become a fierce lover. You don't even know what you are. And again, when you waste time in calculation, you have stressfulness that you don't healthily take care of. It's unfortunate business to see people use stories versus going to Patrick Tan, Terrio, and more than just that, good therapist, and or realizing good therapy is what I need. And then waiting until you find the right one who will not pathologize you, who will let you know you are healable, and integration is your optimized version, because that's where your body's headed in the first place. And so is your ventral vagal state. Now, you don't have to do it all at once. This is where the smart therapists know how to talk to their patients. But if you care about yourself and you're smart, at this day and era, you're going to do it, not say, I don't want it. So people who are wanting to stay in the lower frequency, it's not that they want. Robert's post get determined, come on in. It's that the first 3 years of their life make up most of how they use their brain, and they're not using their prefrontal. Adaptive child part people don't learn new skills because they're non-bilaterally integrated. And then they make up bullshit lies and they make up bullshit excuses and they follow assholes around and donkeys. But they want that because that's the part. When you tell people, it's been a long time now that I'm attachment trauma informed about how they can get better, you better bet they ain't doing it. And so to a T, the gaslit child will become an adult who does not trust their own compass. They also will be protected by confusion. They will also point at me and say, that's a bitch and that's a witch, because my secure attachment flares up their attachment wounds. And to a T, like Peter Levine points out, they'll go in the cave with the cat, but they won't come to me with a broken wing, the bird. So when I see that, which is data continuing, I don't need to tell anybody about their love for a story. Yoga means to become flexible, not just physically, but in every way. That means wherever you are fine. Yoga is a portfolio of ventral vagal toning exercises. Mindfulness and meditation support integration of the brain. You won't integrate if you don't integrate your core, narrative, relational, and solo self with a good therapist so that you can get earned secure attachment. And when people want a story for themselves, they don't actually become a lover, because a lover, again, is going to be a psychologically expanding person. So if they hit the mud, as Terrio points out, in a good relationship, that old wound you swore you would never be in again. So this is a self-aware human being who's accountable and regulating, they're not going to want to give themselves a story to stay in their not securely attached, unhealthy, self-soothing patterns. Anyone who still wants that is a teenager version of themselves who's just making up bullshit. So at that point with the ascension energies, they keep coming up. And here's where adaptive child is a child's version of an adult that developed to protect the wounded child. And their first 3 years are implicit memory. So they will continue to be a teenage version. We can shake hands with Cusco. Nobody's going to tell Cusco he has to become Pacha, but they're going to continue being liars, cowards, and every time ascension energies come up, that stuff is going to come up. They can heal it, but that's with, again, a good therapist, and then mindfulness practices with mindset skills and that inner growth mindset that we talk about here continue to support people to move and expand in their true self. So the functional adult makes thoughtful decisions, and we are mature, thoughtful, nuanced, and forgiving because we use a prefrontal, because we're anchored in ventral energy, because we can live a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self, because when you lie or omit or do shit that is not true in the low self-esteem frequency that any coward is going to be in, I will not be saying anything. I met liars when I was 11, 12, 13, 14. By the time I'm 15, I'm picking my herd. And I saw still 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and I'm 45, and you better bet. I still see them all over the place. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. Nope, I am not laughing because it's funny. It breaks my heart that there are plenty of people who, since the year 2007, I've been on expansion journey with ascension energies as a mystic and a spiritual, mindfully living, loving person besides marketer, entrepreneur, all the things I do. They've not budged. Sure, they expand as adaptive child part. They're convinced, they distort information with themselves and others. When they have attachment wounds flare up, they don't actually take it seriously. They just think, it's like the movies. I just don't like some shit. That's just normal. Everything can be normal, but you justifying a petty energy, that has a way that we can talk about it. And with that being said, we'll continue the conversation as it gets dark and as there's more noise. But the functional adults, again, we understand imperfections and ambiguity, and we know how trauma impacts the relationship. Unlike the adaptive child, who's unforgiving and harsh, and who doesn't actually open themselves up to everything, okay? The black and white thinking, denying the data, and taking a story and wanting to stay with groups and stay in a superhero, supervillain, they're just going to make it up. That's the part. They would rather make up how to stay in a special group than to become a person. So we'll be back with more. In the meantime, thanks for stopping by.